Good evening, everyone. I'd ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Here.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Here.
Councilmember Dewey,
Here.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Here.
Councilmember Lizzo is absent, Councilmember Sears,
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Present. We will go straight to public comments.
The public comments portion of the meeting is an opportunity for the city council to listen to comments from citizens. It is not a question and answer session, and the city council will not respond to comments or answer questions during this period. The mayor may refer any matter brought up to the city council to the chief administrative officer or city clerk if action is needed.
You, we have anyone wishing to speak?
Mayor and council, there is a request to speak from Bernard Bond.
Well, hello, everybody. I know some of you guys. I'm Bernie Bond. If you guys have been talking, I'm here to talk about loggers. I think that's something you guys maybe have been talking about those since 4:30, if I get it right. So you're probably a little tired of hearing about loggers. But I'm against it. Many of you know that. Got a few crib notes here. It shouldn't take long at all. And let me just tell you the reasons why I'm against it. If I called Edward Jones, Vanguard, or any investment firm to ask or demand a 7% guaranteed annual return with near zero personal risk, I think most of you know I would be, to be polite, turned down. Okay, if not laughed out of the office. If the council somehow sees fit to pass loggers, you're going to be creating, in my opinion, a special privileged class of city workers who enjoy benefits that common taxpayers in the city do not enjoy and will never enjoy. It's impossible for us to get it in the free marketplace. So the city of Kirkwood then is going to consist of two classes of people: city workers with special privileges and regular taxpayers who support those privileges. Now, under certain conditions, and I won't pretend to know what it is because I know loggers is pretty complicated. It's a complex issue, like all pension plans. I don't pretend to understand every bit of the details or conditions. Frankly, and not disparagingly, I'd be surprised if anybody on the council fully understood the exact terms and conditions of loggers. Well, again, you can't answer questions, but I can only imagine how many pages it is in the legalese. And none of that complexity is going to work in favor of the taxpayers, I assure you. So bottom line, taxpayers are going to take on added risk with none of the benefits. Last month, I attended a meeting where a few city workers, nice guys, very eloquent. I've got nothing against city workers, nothing at all. But at that meeting, they told the council they wanted and needed a safe, secure, guaranteed retirement without worrying about the uncertainty of the markets. And I just have one simple question for the council. Why on God's green earth is that my problem? How is that my problem? Because they're making it part of my problem. Taxpayers who live in the real world with their 401ks are now going to be forced to create and pay for some kind of safe room for this privileged class. Wrapping up, think of it this way. What Kirkwood citizen, while getting dressed this morning for work, asked themselves, gee, I wish I could do something to make sure our city workers get a guaranteed pension better than mine? My point is, no taxpayers ever asked for this. It's being forced on us. And that's just the truth of the matter. It's just being forced on us. No one on my block on Parkwoods and Kirkwood has any idea what loggers is or what's going on here. I suspect that's representative of most neighborhoods. And I'm telling you, if you pass this, based on the conversations I've had with neighbors, they're going to be angry and indignant. But of course, none of it'll matter because the ink will be on the paper and it's a done deal. So wrapping up, these notes are terrible. I wrote this just a little while ago at dinner. Sorry about that. Wrapping up premise, something so patently unfair, how this could ever even be a topic of debate at City Hall is impossible personally for me to even comprehend. I really honestly don't get it. It is so patently unfair. You'll be deciding whether City Hall works for us or whether we work for City Hall. And that's about what it is. I sincerely thank everybody though for your time and attention. I really do. I do thank you. And everybody on this board and some email communications that I've had, everybody has been nothing short of professional and cooperative, and I appreciate it. And that goes for the mayor also. So thank you.
Mayor and council, there are no additional requests for comment.
David? All right, we will move on to our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
You've got a motion. We have a second? Second. All right. Are there any questions or comments on the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Motion passes. All right, we will go to new business, Bill 10971.
Mayor and council, this is an ordinance amending the provisions of the municipal code, chapter 25, zoning and subdivision, and chapter 20, streets and sidewalks, regarding revisions to requirements for outdoor dining and outdoor seating areas.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
We've got a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Councilmember Gibbons.
I had a hard time with a couple of areas. The new buildings that are constructed with a depth of 24 feet. This is under section 3, part 2. Screening and can somebody explain
Where are you exactly on that? Just so.
section
section
3 under B,
Page
part
38.
2?
B2, okay.
I can call Jonathan up here.
Okay.
Sure. So that subsection is currently in the code and not being proposed for any revision.
Oh,
And
okay,
It was, but as background, it was implemented from a recommendation from DPZ with our downtown master plan. And again, it stems from the idea of liner buildings. So these shallow buildings that could help create a pedestrian street and serve the purpose of screening parking. But because of that shallow depth, are not likely to generate a lot of need for
Okay.
parking. So it was an urban design concept that was implemented based off of a recommendation from that plan, but no changes to that subsection are being,
Okay.
just the whole
Yeah,
subsection or the whole section, I guess, is in there to be inclusive, but
okay. Sorry, thanks.
sure.
Is that it, Councilmember
Yeah.
Gibbons? Okay. Any other questions from council? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. That passes first reading. Bill 10972.
Mayor and council, this is an ordinance appropriating $65,000 from the general fund balance to the police department overtime account due to increased operating expenses in the police department for fiscal year 22-23.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on the bill? Right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Bill passes first reading. Bill 10973.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance reappropriating 62,200, gosh, no, $62,350 from the Capital Improvement Fund balance to multiple facilities accounts.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
I guess I just wondered,
Councilmember Gibbon?
how it inadvertently got omitted.
Inadvertently.
Inadvertently.
I'd say from time to time, things get omitted in reappropriation because there are so many accounts that have costs that are ongoing. And you expect that perhaps we can get those paid by April 1 and then they wouldn't need reappropriation. As it turns out, this one was not. So the facilities person identified that as well. I'm not going to get that check out as quickly as I'd hoped. And we need to reappropriate.
Would likely not happen if our fiscal year was July 1.
Just saying.
That's right. July 1, that day, everything's perfect with that date.
But that's also something we got to watch with that 2.5 from the state, because it hasn't been, it has to be reappropriated now. Because we haven't drawn it, right?
We will make sure that we follow the proper procedures
Right.
with that funding. Absolutely.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Say no. All right, bill passes first reading. Bill 10974.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $14,711 from the Certificates of Participation Series 2022 to the Fire Department Rolling Stock Account Project number FD 2308 and amending the purchase order with Sentinel Emergency Solutions LLC in the amount of $14,711 for a total amount of $939,865 for the purchase of a Rosenbauer rescue pumper for the fire department and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue an amended purchase order.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Gibbons?
I just wondered why changes were made after it was ordered.
We have our Assistant Fire Chief here who will be glad to answer those questions.
It was just one question.
You know, the
Well,
assistant.
there may be
chief,
more. You
Zeit
never
shows
know.
up, you've got to have him speak. You can't have him just sit in the back.
No, so there were some options with the HGC contract that weren't available to us on the initial purchase. And so a couple of those things were the galvanized frame rails. We've had rust issues with some of the trucks. So this galvanized frame rails will extend our life warranty on that 10 years. We were able to change a few things, just like any car design that you're going to have when you sit down and actually look at it. There was a couple things that the truck committee wanted to kind of modify. There was one thing of tires that were just no longer available from when we purchased back in October till now. So supply chain issues sort of things, but it was pretty minimal when we started really scaling it back to 14,000. So
Thank you.
What's your anticipated delivery date?
we're hoping fall of next year if everything goes right. So we're keeping our fingers crossed right now.
Okay, cool. No, all right. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks.
Was there anything else on that before the chief left? All right, seeing no further questions, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Bill passes first reading. Bill 10975.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance amending and readopting the provisions of Appendix E, Personnel Rules and Regulations of the Kirkwood Code of Ordinances.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Zimmer.
Yeah, I'll ask this first. Regarding the accrual of comp time,
Mhm.
changing it from 40 to 80, just if you could kind of briefly explain what the motivation is for making this change?
Well, I think that it's to be adapting to changing workplace standards throughout the country. The 80 hours of comp time helps us not have to invoke overtime as well. So this is a positive adjustment for the city in management's consideration.
I think so too. Thank you, Russ.
Councilmember Gibbons, you have some? I couldn't tell.
That was.
Oh,
my
okay.
question.
All right. Any other questions from council? All right. Seeing none, then all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Bill passes first reading. Resolution 38, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the city of Kirkwood and St. Louis County for the installation, operation, and maintenance of license plate recognition cameras within St. Louis County maintained right-of-way.
Is there a motion for approval? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 39, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the bid of Frost Supply in the amount of $71,900 for the purchase of LED lights for the electric department and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, and seeing no questions. No, we know, Councilmember Gibbons, I know has some questions on this, so I'll defer right away to you. Really?
Yeah, and Mark talked to me a little bit earlier, but he talks up here about electric, so
The light game.
and he gets so excited. I have gotten some complaints about the brightness and the color tone of the light, some of the lights that we've been putting in. And as he knows, I experienced myself where an LED was put in and it lit up the whole front of my yard and my second floor into my house. And I mean, right away, they changed it out and we're working on it and all that. But there's people don't know that they can call the electric department and have it changed. Because Mark's saying some people want that light in the front filtering into their house. So, but that they could always get it changed. So maybe what we need to do is a campaign to let people know that, because I don't think most people know that these bright lights, I talked to he's the mayor or whatever he is in Grantwood Village. I think he kind of manages the city too, because they're so small, but they went through a whole big thing with Grant's Farm, the Bush family. I don't even know who else, to redo the lighting on Grant Road to make it so that it stayed on the road. It didn't go out onto the bordering properties at all. And I feel like we need to do that. I'd like to see that done. But Mark says that some people want their lights lit up, their houses lit up. So maybe we just need to make sure people realize that they have that option. Because like I said, it was literally coming into my second floor.
So yes, and again, Mark Petty, I'm the electric director, and I guess that's a question. So I'm
I
gonna
guess.
try to see if I can help you there a little bit. Yes, there are different types of fixtures, right? There's the Cobra head or flat lens fixture, more suited toward wider roads. And then we have the more residential fixture that is sort of like a backyard fixture or a barnyard fixture, and it points downward and does have a circular pattern that can point in all four directions. We do get calls where people request to have modifications to their fixture. We are always open if a person does call, but yes, lighting can be an issue sometimes where some want it and some don't. And so it really is up to the customer to give us a holler and let us know if they do want some modifications to their refractor so that it doesn't shine more on their sidewalk or closer to their house. And depending on how close the house is to the street,
Yeah.
you may see more of that light that backwashes onto the house versus one that has more setback. So yeah, it can be very arbitrary. So that's why we leave it up to the customer to let us know, and then we can get out there and we can do those.
Can we let the customers know that they can let us know? I mean,
Sure. I mean, again, like anything else, we have ways for people to get a hold of if the light's not working or if it's not working to their satisfaction. That's something that we're always entertaining. It's right on the website. If you have a light issue, we got it on there. We got it on the city's website. We have it on the Kirkwood Electric website. And we have the Granica system that takes on the complaints that will be able to address it. So it's right there. If you have a lighting issue, give us a holler or put in a complaint online and we get out there, we address those.
Let me ask a question. So you replaced the lights with a new LED and you'll get a call. Is it always a replacement? Do you have to put in new fixtures or do you go out and, or someone go out and assess the street, the location? Because I don't, I mean.
Yeah, no, when we basically do the change, we are doing change outs of every light.
Right.
And we have a program where about a year from now, we will have converted every light.
Right.
And it's a economic dispatch thing, right? Where you try to do it within regions or you do it where the lights have failed and the new replacement is a LED light.
So I guess my question though is someone gets a light and it's different and they call, will you automatically go out and change it? The fixture, the light, or do you assess that situation?
Well, yeah, we talk to them, find out what the deal is, right? I mean, again, if the light has been changed out and then they have an issue, we ask them, is it too bright or do you think it's shining too much on your side of the house? Or did you want a different type of fixture? We go through all of those questions to try to find out what we can do to make them happy.
How many of those do you think you get? Ballpark? 3 a month, 1 a
Generally,
month, 5
not
a
that
year?
many remember, we're talking about 1,700 lights of which we've changed out about over 800. I would say we're a handful. I mean, again, there's locations where there's closer setback than others, so you see that, but we really don't have that many that have said, hey, I really don't like the light or I have an issue with it. And that's why we can get to them if they need to. We're glad to do that.
And what do you replace them with? Just.
Again, the typical thing is if you had a flat lens light initially and you didn't like it, we can go to one with a refractor that's a circular globe. And then if that's too much light still, then we can spray paint or put shades around different sides of it to make sure that the light doesn't project in a direction that they don't like.
You might want to give up and just put a motion sensor on it.
That's just going to make the light come on and go off, right? And then if it doesn't stay on, then
They won't notice it. It wouldn't wake Liz up.
yeah, it's again, the light game, you get a lot of different opinions and depending on the customer and some of the other adjacent customers, you can have a person that likes the light that's next door to a person that doesn't like the light. I mean, so you got a lot of different variations of ways to fix it and different kind of variations of the complaints. So we try to come up with creative ways to handle all of them.
I thought change was simple.
Never.
What world is that?
Yeah.
Member Zimmer?
First of all, Mark, thank you. I'm happy with my lights. Is there a cost impact to doing this, to changing out lights? Are
Nope.
some lights more expensive than others?
Right, yeah, generally, no. I mean, the lights are gonna last longer now. So we're definitely gonna see a significant reduction in the maintenance, right? It used to be the bulb would go out every year, and now you're gonna see a 10-year life. So this little small nuance to trying to get dispatched a couple times is so much better than having to come out every year. And that's why we're willing to do it.
I don't know if anybody was happy with the old sodium vapor lights. I mean, those are terrible.
They were so yellow, Mark.
The yellow lights were also lower in value, right? So I mean, the color isn't necessarily the light intensity itself, but those sodium vapor lights did have a lower value and it was actually less light that was being projected. So now you get a lot more light in the projection, a lot more lumens, which is really the measure of light versus maybe what you think you see. So that part is a good thing for the road itself and for walking up and down the street. So that's why this is a significant improvement. And these lights will hold their lumen level longer than the sodium vapor. Again, those sodium vapor lights will go out in a year. So it's a 10-year life. So it's going to be a lot better.
Your question or whatever it was answered or your comment answered?
Well, I just, and
Barely
the Kelvin, how do you say that word?
So that's the temperature game, the Kelvin game,
Kelvin.
right? Where people have suggested that a different temperature may be better or worse. And you have all
27.
kinds of different conversations about the temperature that may be related to a particular color, right? Some people think that a lower temperature means the light will be more yellow and supposedly less of a bright light. None of that is true. And there again is a quantum mechanical explanation for why certain chemicals that produce lights actually put out certain electromagnetic waves that produce light intensity. Not going into that conversation today because everyone else hasn't done quantum mechanics. I will just say that a lot of that is not true. It's just really not true. We have actual measures associated with the light and the light intensity, but the temperature by itself isn't really the criteria for whether a light is going to be brighter or darker. It's just not. So we standardized our lights. Our lights are the same as Ameren standard in the Northwest and in the South. We're going to have uniform maintenance now throughout the city because of it with uniform parts. And I think you'll see in the end that, we'll be able to address some of these nuances with some locations. And at the same time, we'll reduce our, maintenance costs and have more efficiency associated with the lights. Because the other thing is these lights use a lot less energy and that saves all across the board.
Okay.
And you will likely get a letter explaining that they're weaponized, that there are laser-based weapons in there. That's not true either.
But if you do want that quantum mechanical explanation, we can provide that.
All right. Any other questions or comments while Mark's up? All right. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 40, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution amending and readopting the City of Kirkwood city fee schedules.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, got a motion, a second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 41, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution transferring funds in the amount of $205,300 from the transfer to other funds account to multiple accounts for the public safety deferred compensation 2% match.
Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Got a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All right, got a motion, second. Questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 42, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the bid of Rudd Equipment in the amount of $81,902 pursuant to Sourcewell Cooperative Contract for the purchase of a mini excavator for the street department and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Motion, is there a second? All right, any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 43, 2023.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the bid of Cape Electrical Supply in the amount of $322,589 for the single-phase pole mount dual voltage transformers for the electric department and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Is there a second? We had a motion, a second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Sears,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward.
Yes.
Resolution passes. We'll go to city council reports. Anyone have anything to report? Councilmember Gibbons?
Just two things. I think it's really great that the Y and the library are partnering, and there's going to be another book walk, like what goes on at the park for our little kids, and it'll go around the block at the Y with where you read a each page, go around. I think that's really cool. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you is that the Green Tree Committee has worked really hard because of construction on Essex. The parade is actually going to be taking a whole different route this year. And it'll be, everything will be being done on the Doherty Ferry lot. But they've got it all under control and really thought it out and worked it out. So.
Councilmember Ward, what do you think about the change in that,
I'm just stunned. Absolutely stunned. No, it likely will just fall apart.
All right, anything else from council?
I did have
Yeah.
just a comment. It's kept me up late nights since the last meeting. And I mentioned that we'd all gotten a copy. I assume we all got a copy from the National League of Cities regarding signing on to support for enactment of railroad safety enhancements. And I didn't get a comment at the council meeting, and I thought, well, that's not unusual, but maybe there'll be some conversation or email or some chatter. And there was nothing. And we're not talking about heavy lifting here. It's just signing on a simple letter saying, please consider railroad safety in our community. It's 300 feet from here. The derailment, if nothing else, just think about yourself. You might die here in the Chamber of Council. But it just stunned me that this council was not more considerate of the safety needs of this community on something that's so simple to deal with.
Well, you're making an assumption that everybody got it. Sometimes this stuff goes to junk.
Well,
Sometimes
I
it
understand that. I got that, but so I did mention it and there wasn't any follow-up. It wasn't as if somebody said,
I don't recall.
I don't
Getting
recall it either.
anything on that.
yeah, you didn't get it, but
So if you have it forward it on.
Yeah.
yeah, I would have appreciated somebody just saying, hey, we didn't get that. I
I
don't
didn't know
have
that I
that.
didn't get it until now.
Yeah, well, I hope,
Forward-
there's always a chance for
For-
correction here. I hope.
Because, we also get those from Amtrak and sign them, but I don't recall ever seeing that. It's the first I've heard of it. So if you'll forward it on.
I certainly
Do.
will, because
Yeah.
I really care for the 29,000 people that live in this city, and I like to protect them in any way we
Oh, I-
possibly
I
can.
think-
So,
Most would agree. So if you
Yeah.
forward that on to
Yeah.
either Laurie or each of us, that would be great. Thank you.
all righty. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, anything else from council? All right, Chief Administrative Officer report.
Yes, Mayor, the city received an application for a liquor license, picnic license from the Rotary Club of Kirkwood for the Route 66 Cars and Guitars Festival on June 10th, 2023. We would ask city council approval by voice vote.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Or a second?
Second.
My only question is, has a background check been made on all Rotary Club members?
Yeah, that's be a good idea.
Put two here at the end,
Yes,
I
smart
just want to
move.
make sure you checked into everything. Yeah.
Have a copy handy at any time.
All right.
I would like to know, do we have any sense of where they'd want to relocate, or is it the same location they've always had?
I
or-
think it's looking to be the same location. Since it draws a good crowd every year, they're not looking to change a whole lot.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments? All right, all in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. Anything else, Russ?
No, that's all I have, Mayor.
All right. City Attorney report.
Happy to report. I have nothing to report.
It's always good when you have nothing to report. City Clerk report.
Well, I'm happy to report. I have two things to report.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, sure. The first item I will report on is the report of the April 5th, 2023 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. The following action was taken by a vote of 7-0. The commission recommended approval of a community unit plan, final site plan, final plat for the proposed Woodland Knoll 6-lot subdivision at 600 North Ballas Road. Legislation will be drafted for council consideration on that. And the second item I have to report is a scheduled upcoming public hearing for April 20th, 2023, which is a request for a special use permit, comprehensive marijuana dispensary facility and accessory drive-through facility and major site plan review for New Growth Horizons at 10855 Manchester Road. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Laurie. All right, next meeting of the city council will be 7 PM, 2 weeks from tonight, April 20th. This meeting is adjourned.